Hey, I'm Austin and welcome to ROW-20. Welcome to the first day of this 20-day total transformation rowing program, where by the end of these 20 workouts, you are gonna walk away the best possible rowing version of yourself that you can possibly be. And I hope you're excited. Now, to walk away knowing that you've become a better rower, we need to have tangible evidence of our improvements. And that is exactly what our day one workout is all about. It is our initial assessment. It is to see where we are right now. Whether you're brand new to rowing, whether you've had some experience, or you've been using the rower for a long time. We need to see where we are right now so we can see just how far we've gone over the course of the program. So for our initial assessment, very straightforward. We're rowing for 20 minutes at 22 strokes per minute. The overall goal being to go as hard and as far as you can. And that's all I'm gonna say about that, because again, over the course of this program, we're gonna be learning so much about our rowing, our technique, our effort. For now, whatever that means to you, 20 minutes at 22 strokes per minute, as hard and as far as we can, that's the plan. I'm gonna be setting the tempo and the rhythm. I'm gonna be giving just minimal coaching advice as we go along, because that's the most fair way to see where our true starting point is. So as long as you follow along with me and jump back each stroke with me, you'll be at that 22 strokes per minute. And then from there, you're just giving the best you can. By the end, feeling like you gave it your all. And then once the initial assessment is done, the real fun begins as we make our way into our journey. So I hope you are excited. But it's time to start the epic journey of ROW-20. So with that being said, let's strap in and let's just row. All right, let's go ahead and protect our lower back here before we start. That means untucking our hips and sitting forward on our sit bones so our lower back isn't tucked underneath us. Grabbing our handles nice and wide, thumbs under the handles. Remember, our rowing sequence is legs first, then body swing, then pulling the arms. We've got 20 minutes at 22 strokes per minute. Let's get into this. 3, 2, 1, push, swing, pull. Up with me and jump. Up with me and jump. All right, getting into a rhythm here. Keeping in mind that when we row, everyone is different body heights, body sizes. And so when it comes to keeping the same stroke rate together, it's not about, rowing back at the same time throughout the stroke. It's simply about just stepping back at the same time. So driving back, it means jump with me. Again, jump, just like that. And so now, settling in with this rhythm for the entire 20 minutes. Nice, focusing on trying to row as long as you can. When we talk about rowing with length, we're talking about bending our legs to shins vertical and leaning our body forward and swinging our body back. So 20 minutes is a long time here. You're gonna need to check in with yourself as you go along to see how you feel from an effort standpoint. Because again, by the end of our 20 minutes, we wanna feel like we really gave it our all, that we got nothing left in the tank. And we can do that here at 22 if we focus on pushing back with effort. Driving back with effort. And the beautiful thing about this initial assessment too is that there's no correct or good or bad results or anything like that. The only thing correct you gotta do is stay at 22 strokes per minute with me. As long as you do that, you're doing everything correctly. And then from there, we're just seeing where we are physically, right? Every journey begins with the first step. But if there's one thing that you're gonna always find with me and my coaching, if you ever talk to me about fitness goals, it's all about accountability, all right? It's about not playing a victim mindset, not being a victim of our current circumstance, but just accepting the reality of, okay, this is where I am, and that's okay. Because when you accept where you are, that gives you the basis and the grounds to move forward. And you will improve and get better as long as you commit to being consistent and commit to showing up for each and every workout. It's the foolproof way to get better, but we stay accountable. There's no excuses here on why things play out the way they are. They just are what they are. It is what it is. That's the old saying. Oopsies. Good, and just working this rhythm here. We're gonna check in with ourselves every 5 minutes or so and see how we feel and adjust ourselves from there. If you're new to rowing, just focus on the 3-part sequence of a strong rowing stroke. Legs first, then body swing, and then a pull with the arms. So we drive our legs, our feet into the foot plates, then we swing our body back, and then we pull our arms in at the very end. Just keep that in mind and apply it the best that you can. As far as learning the specifics of our rowing and the intricate technicalities of rowing well, that will all come in time with our journey. About 30 seconds until our first check-in point. See how we're feeling. So far, so good though. We're getting meters. We're bringing effort. We're looking good. Okay. That is our first 5 minutes in. Checking in with ourselves, we should be feeling like we're working out. We should not be feeling overly exhausted, overly exerted, or anything like that, because we got a long way to go. We're only a quarter of the way through, but we should feel like we're in this thing now. We've really found our rhythm and groove. Just another friendly reminder that the rhythm and groove comes from stepping back with me. Comes from jumping with me. If you feel like you're maybe pushing a little too hard, you're not gonna make it for another 15 minutes, dial back your effort per stroke. That means just not driving back as hard with your legs. Don't drive back as hard. That way you can conserve some energy while still maintaining the rhythm. If you're struggling to keep the 22 stroke rate with me and you feel like it's too slow, quote unquote too slow, it's a very common beginner rowing situation. To think that the rhythm, the SPM, the strokes per minute, is too slow so you can't work hard. You will soon discover that with rowing, it's not about the stroke rate, it's not about how fast you move up and down, but the effort behind each stroke, how much push you give into your stroke, and then having the discipline to control your return, which means being able to drive back hard, but not rush up, but drive hard and then control your way up. That takes a lot of skill and a lot of practice, but that's what we're gonna develop, so I want you to just focus on that here. Think of your rowing as 2 parts, the drive back and the controlled return. Drive back as hard or as soft as you need to sustain yourself, but push yourself, and then control your return enough to keep the stroke rate with me and to jump back with me at the same time. If you're looking for a breathing rhythm, focusing on an exhale at the finish of each stroke, which means breathing out as you pull in the handle. It's a good way to set a rhythm for yourself and keep yourself going. Nice big breaths and nice steady consistency. So when we talk about keeping consistent on the rower, this is a good time here to really think about our numbers and metrics that are associated with intensity and effort. What those numbers are, you have your main metric of pace per 500 meters, which shows you at your current intensity how long it would take you to row 500 meters. Just like a fitness watch that tells you how long it would take you to run a mile at your current running speed, that's what our pace per 500 or split per 500 tells us. It's a little bit tricky to understand initially, but that's the main metric that rowers use to track performance. Now, if you have that metric, awesome. If you're using a rower that does not have that metric, you might want to look at watts instead. That is your power output. It is similar to a pace per 500, but instead of telling you how long it would take you to row 500 meters at your current intensity, it instead tells you how much power you're generating per stroke, how many watts you generate per stroke. So the harder you row, the higher that number goes. Not the faster you row necessarily, but the more intensity per stroke. So we try to keep those numbers, the pace per 500 and the watts, as steady and consistent as we can. That is all due to how much consistent force you apply to each stroke. Not only force, but with technique as well. So if you find that your pace per 500 meters or your watts are all over the place, well, that's inconsistent power and intensity per stroke. That is something that not even the Olympians still work on. Olympic rowers still struggle to keep things totally consistent all the time. And so it's a constant readjustment every stroke to adjust your power and intensity to be as consistent as you can. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Good news, team. Over halfway through. Every stroke we take now is closer to the finish line than to the start. At this point, you should be breathing pretty hard. Pretty hard, but again, feeling confident still. If you're feeling overly exhausted and really don't think you're gonna make it the last 10 minutes, you need to back off on your effort per stroke. That means not driving back as hard, but still keeping the rhythm with me of jumping with me. The rhythm of jumping with me, but just not jumping as hard. If you feel like you've got a lot of energy, then you want to think about adding more effort per stroke, which means jumping back harder, coming up slower. Jump back harder, but come up slower. Try to avoid the beginner's mistake of driving back hard and then rushing back up. That's a common beginner's thing, is to not separate the power drive and the slow return. It ends up being power drive and speed return. So control both, adjust yourself, and just know that we're getting closer and closer to shore, closer and closer to the finish line with each stroke. We're letting our meters add up. We're bringing good, consistent effort. We're watching our watts. We're watching our pace per 500. Even the metric of calories burned per hour is an option as well. Another metric of intensity. However, calories burned per hour tends to be a more variable metric. It tends to change a lot more frequently compared to watts or pace per 500, so it becomes even harder to maintain consistency. That's why you're going to hear me refer often to our upcoming workouts and the goals referring to watts or pace per 500. And again, as we work through the second half in this third quarter, which by the way tends to be the most mentally challenging, I want you again to think about not comparing yourself to others. This is you on your journey. How the heck are you supposed to get better at something if you're not just gonna show up and try and do it? It just doesn't matter where everyone else is in their fitness journey. We're all at a different point. And the fact of the matter is, if we want to get better and get to our goals, we need to accept where we are. And then from there, we just need to try our best. It is that simple. There's no overthinking it. There's no judgment from others. Everyone's got their own stuff to worry about. No one's looking at you. No one's really paying attention to your numbers, your intensity, what you're doing. You just care about that yourself. Let everyone else do their thing. What they're doing has no impact on you and your life. So focus on yourself here. Be proud of yourself for being here, for doing this. And the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. This is our single step. Even though this single step adds up to 440 strokes by the end. By the way, if you're wondering how I knew it's 440 strokes, that's just doing rower math, which is you take your strokes per minute, which again is shown on your monitor as SPM, sometimes as S/M. That is how many strokes per minute you were taking. That simple. Over the course of 20 minutes, if we're holding 22 strokes per minute, 22 times 20 is 440. One thing you'll learn on the rower, especially during workouts like this, where I would argue it's not the most exciting thing going on right now, keeping a consistent effort for a long time, you'll start to find little math games with yourself. Little math games when you row to keep yourself occupied, to keep yourself mentally in the fight until the end. Speaking of till the end, we just passed the 3/4 mark. We are into our final 5 minutes. Now this is the most serious part of the row, where again, by the end of this, I need you to find a max effort, but a max effort at 22 strokes per minute here. So find your push, find your swing, find your effort per stroke, and see if you can maintain this here for our last few minutes. Do not try to cheat the stroke rate. Again, part of the reason why this program's initial and final assessment is 20 minutes at 22 is there's some learning to be had to learn how to push yourself to a max effort at any stroke rate, including a low rate like 22. So just keep rowing it the best you can. 4 minutes left. Pop quiz. How many strokes do we have left? 88 strokes. 22 times 4. You could even start counting them off if you wanted to. But I would instead choose to focus on keeping long, legs, swing, arms. Remember each stroke. Legs, swing, arms. Legs, swing, arms. Nice, it should be starting to feel pretty uncomfortable. It's gonna be a common theme of ROW-20. We're gonna find some pretty uncomfortable moments in the program. But just remember that every sweet second of life that you spend in the land of discomfort is a second that your body, your mind, your spirit is improving and getting better. You are leveling up as an individual, gaining the life experience points when we get uncomfortable. So one of our big themes of the program is to not shy away from the discomfort. Always there to embrace it, knowing that every workout has its end. Time does not stop for anyone, and knowing that as long as you keep taking one stroke at a time, you will make it to the end. You will get there. So let's stay on the grind here. Less than 2.5 minutes. That's over halfway through the last quarter. There's some more rowing math for you. I'm fighting the urge to coach you technically here. I just want you to bring some effort. Just want you to do your best. Good. Final 2 minutes, final 44 strokes. Final 44 and we're done. Good, ask yourself, how much fuel do you have in your fuel tank right now? If you're just hanging on right now, well shoot, just hang on, hang in there. If you got a lot to give still, better start tapping into those energy stores now and start pushing and start driving. All right, last minute here, last 60 seconds. This is our time to dig and bring it. Don't change the rate though, stay with me, jump. Don't change the rate, stay with me, jump. Push. Nice, let your heart rate go up there. Don't shy away from that discomfort, give what you can. Maximum meters, maximum effort. Nice, final 20 seconds. These are our last couple strokes. Last couple, make sure you have left nothing left in you. Push through, drive, swing through. Good, that is time. Chill and relax. If your monitor is not set to a countdown, set your handle down. Set your hand down to keep your legs moving and look at your meters, look at your distance here. This is where we need to take time to record our metrics down. So what should you record? Distance, shown in meters. We're looking at you can look at total calories burned as a metric. Your average split per 500 meter. Your average watts. That's a metric as well. All of those, writing them down so that way you have tangible evidence of how much you've improved by the time we get to the end of the program. Whether you just take a screenshot of your monitor, just a little snapshot, or you physically write them down on your phone or on a paper, do so. I'm bouncing back and forth because you want to try to keep things moving after the end of a workout, not just to sit still instantly. Once you've got that saved, you can paddle it out. You can do some light rowing recovery here, light and easy strokes. This is the start of the journey. And I hope you're so excited. And I hope you're proud of yourself. This is it. This is the first step. And now the real fun begins as we work through the variety of workouts that are going to train us physically, mentally, and technique-wise to be the best rowing us as we can be. So thanks for showing up. That's how we start things off. Time to get into it here. Day 2 coming your way. Be ready. And as always, I will see you in the next workout.